hot cuppa and relax. It's Afternoon Karak with Aisha Al-Nazmi and Mikhail Atiyah.
On Pulse 95.
It's a new week here on the Afternoon Karak with myself, Mikhail Atiyah. Only half of the team here because Aisha Al-Nazmi is out on a well-deserved vacation. My co-host is just been a week off already, and I gotta tell you, it feels like forever. But don't worry, I have you and you have me for the rest of this hour. And boy, do we got a lot to talk about. If you've been catching up with WandaVision, and I know you are, this is the best hour to tune in because I'll be talking about episode 7 of WandaVision that just came out this Friday. And if you've been geeking out with all of your buddies about this, then I want you guys to geek out with me here. Text me 4215. It's Salater Do. Would love you to join in the conversation and even join us at our live stream at YouTube at Pulse 95 Radio. I will tell you from now, spoiler warning, we're going to get into some spoiler territory. I wouldn't be talking about episode 7 of the show if you haven't really caught up to it. That's just my little disclaimer there for you guys. Also, the official first ever trailer for the upcoming Mortal Kombat just came out. This is a movie that's coming around, I think, April 18th, and we got a beefy 2.5 minutes worth of a trailer, and boy, there's a lot to talk about. Is it living up to the hype? Are fans of Mortal Kombat really been waiting for this, or could this be just like the other cult classic film of the 90s? But you guys let me know and join in the conversation. I am still continuing also my rumors about the Silent Hill reboot. Yes, another rumor has emerged. It's been a year of me investing into these little theories and rumors on the internet, and I want to keep that going right here on the show. And I'm gonna wrap up the hour with yet another Soulja Boy game console. Apparently, the irrelevant rapper is trying to remain relevant in the gaming industry by creating his own product line of games. Now, he did this before, and he's coming back again, and he promises that he's building it up from scratch. I don't know about that. I got all the details for that and so much more. What matters, guys, is you tune in and join in the conversation. Text us 4215 and Salater Do. And once again, our live stream at YouTube Pulse 95 Radio. Let's keep these discussions going, but right after this lovely musical treat.
Is it an epic or epic failure? The Big Review. Movies, games, and TV in focus.
Pulse 95.
We're going to be reviewing and discussing episode 7 of WandaVision. It just came out this Friday, and I'm telling you from now, spoiler be warned. We're going to get into some spoiler territory. So whatever we're talking about, WandaVision episode 7 specifically, even kind of going back on some of the episodes, guys, there's going to be a lot of spoilers. So I recommend, if you're still watching the show or planning to watch it, honestly, just skip this segment and come back later and tune into our podcast or even the video when it goes up on our YouTube. But let's get on to WandaVision episode 7. Oh my God, this is the episode that has, I would say, finalized the setup for the entire series. And, from now, we're just going to say it. We kind of now know who is the villain of the show, and it has to be, and for a long time, and if fans were keeping up with some of the theories, half-heartedly, you would know that the villain of the show is Agnes herself, which is the lovely but curiously suspicious neighbor that was, from the first episode already, I could tell that there was something sus about her. I thought, honestly, I gave her benefit of the doubt last episode simply because during the Halloween section, she was driving in a car all by herself, and I thought, okay, if she's now acting like the other people, like she's part of, Wanda's mind programming, then that means she's not really a person of her own. But no, she was acting that the whole time. Oh my God, what a reveal. I loved that at the end. But you know what? Let's go back a bit. Let's go back to the beginning of the episode. First off, the decade shifts now to the 2010s, a bit even further, and it takes a lot of inspirations from two comedy shows, the Modern Family series, as well as The Office. The style of it, where everybody's kind of talking towards the camera, breaking the fourth wall. That's sort of like Modern Family, also like The Office, and even the opening for the show, we just had a bunch of montages of Wanda. It seems that this time around, just in terms of her mental state, she's feeling completely on her own. And there's that one little prompt message in the middle of it saying, I know what you have done, Wanda. And I think it has to do with either Agnes saying that or Vision, because Vision is separated from her. Luckily enough, he's still alive, but he's across the other side of the hex trying to reach Wanda. He meets up with Darcy. She got mixed into the hex when it got expanded, and he gets a bit of a recap about about some of the events that has happened, especially towards him. He found out that he died twice, in the hands of Wanda and then in the hands of Thanos, and technically he's not even supposed to be alive in the first place. We also get we also understand the motive behind the director of S.W.O.R.D., Howard himself, Hayward. He says that he wants to acquire Vision so that he can weaponize him. And that already tells you a lot. Is he sort of the second villain of the series? You could say that as well. We also understand that the kids themselves are a little bit bothered by the fact that things around them are slowly, shifting. They're going between decades, from the 50s to the 90s. Everything in the world around them, they're starting to notice that the world around them is not really stay in balance. And I think it has to do with the fact that Wanda expanded the hex, and that she's slowly kind of like having a mental breakdown of her own. It's in the show, in the sitcom world that she's in, she's making it off as, oh, she's just having another bad case of the Mondays, but I think the children know that there's something wrong going around here. And so this is the perfect time for Agnes to come in and take the twins and, kind of say, hey, Wanda, why don't you just take a day off for yourself, and I'll babysit the twins. And this is when things just turned to the worst, because there was already all these theories that Agnes had her eyes on the children. For what purpose? We still do not know. If you're going from the comics references, then maybe you have an idea, but I think there's still that original twist that Marvel Studios is going to put into this series. And there's also the fact that Monica Rambeau herself was trying to enter the hex as well. We get to finally see her powers somewhat awaken, because she enters the hex a second time, and by doing so, it now triggers her full superhuman abilities, as you can say. But in the comics, what role is Marvel going to give her? Are they going to give her the term futon? Because apparently there's a couple of names that they give her. Let me pull it up here. There could be any names from, you could say, let me find it here. Yeah, she could either be Photon, she could be Spectrum, or Pulsar. Those are some of the names she's given in the comics. Which one is Marvel going to give them? I still do not know. And let's get into the ending of this. This is where everything slowly starts to make a little bit of sense, but still you have those questions. Wanda notices that her children, she can't find them, right? So she heads off to Agnes, and she notices that, Agnes takes her to the house because Monica tries to convince Wanda that, you got to stop doing this. So we can already get, right from that sort of transition, we can tell that Agnes has been there and has her own little plans with Wanda. So she takes Wanda to the house, and she makes her sit down for a moment, and she notices that her two twins are not there, and she asks Agnes where could they be. She's like, oh, they're down the basement. They're probably playing there. And as we slowly get down there, we're starting to realize, there's more to this. There is, and it's getting creepier. It's getting darker. And as we reach the basement, there's all this like wild vines sprouting from a door ahead. And as Wanda steps into that doorway, and goes down this sketchy little room, the aspect ratio changes, and that gives us an idea that Wanda's technically no longer in her reality bubble that she created, but instead she's in the real world. And it's weird to think of that because, it means that this room right here is not tied to to the reality bubble, but it's its own. It's the real world that Agnes somehow has connected into. And as we go in, we notice it looks like a kind of like an eerie looking dungeon, and out of nowhere, Agnes pops up, and she says, "Hello, Wanda. I'm sure you've been wondering what's going on. My name's Agatha Harkness." And that already, to a lot of fans, if they keep up with the theories in the comments, in the comics, they've gone crazy. Like that. Oh, that means that she is that witch from the comics. And this is when things get seriously interesting. Agatha brainwashes Wanda in that moment, and then we get this really nice sort of like montage of Agatha was the one all along doing all the little tricks, and she was the one behind the camera. She was the one doing all the magic. She's the one that brought up Evan Peters' Pietro from the Fox universe into the MCU universe. So she seems to be the mastermind behind a lot of what we thought Wanda was doing. Anytime Wanda questioned something going off, it was Agatha. And the worst part, the worst atrocity, is that it was Agatha who killed Sparky, who killed the dog. And people are going nuts over it. She's like, she's so evil. We have to, she has to be defeated, like in the next episode or so. But there's still 2 more episodes to go. We don't know what's going to happen. All we know is that Vision's technically on his way. We also get a post-credit scene of Monica opening up the doorway to the basement from another side of the house, and she gets confronted by Pietro, and he's like, snoopers are gonna snoop, but do we still know who Pietro is? Is it really Pietro, or is there somebody else in disguise? Because still in almost every episode, Agnes or Agatha, she always references a person named Ralph. Ralph is technically her husband in the show. Could Ralph be Mephisto? Could he be Nightmare? Could that be the primary villain of the entire series? Or are they just going to stick with Agatha herself for the next 2 episodes? There's so much that has happened in this episode, and I know it was probably the best one. And this is now we're getting into this is like the Marvel-esque part of the series. A lot of the build-up and setup has now sort of, have been put on, and you could say like, this is it. And now these 2 episodes are going to be like a 2-part climax, or sort of 2-part finale. What's going to happen? And who's gonna die? I don't know. Maybe I'm going too far on this. But you guys share your theories. Text me 4215 Installado. WandaVision episode 7. Wasn't that crazy? Do join in. I want to hear from you guys. I'm going to be taking a bit of a break. And coming up next, I'm going to be talking about the new Mortal Kombat trailer right here on the Afternoon Karak.
Pulse 95.
HBO Max's latest Mortal Kombat Reboot trailer has just come out, and this is a movie we're expecting to release on April 18th. As you guys know, any Warner Bros. Movie or any movie that's coming out from HBO is also going to be coming on a theatrical release as well as a digital streaming release on HBO Max. This is sort of their approach for this year, as they know that as the pandemic has forced a lot of people to not go to theaters, and even theaters themselves restricting certain scheduling for movies, and even movies and production companies pushing their all of their movies for this year and the year after. I'm looking at you, MGM, No Time to Die. It's been 4 delays already. That's kind of crazy. But let's get on to some good news here. The Mortal Kombat trailer is a big deal. Not only for gamers, but I think for what it represents. It has such a historical impact to the gaming industry as a whole. Mortal Kombat, when it first came out, was seen as this abomination, like, oh my God, how could a game be so violent and bloody and gorish, and it is that game alone that has forced the gaming industry and just today's publishers to put a rating system the ESRB, I think, yeah, it's called the ESRB rating system to be implemented, which is, in all fairness, yes, there has to be a rating system on video games. But just to show you how big of a deal Mortal Kombat was, it was one of the very first games to introduce just a sort of like an unapologetic violent video game, but contextually appropriate at the same time. And it has continued that series for many installments over the years. And somewhere in between that, in the 90s, there was a Mortal Kombat live action movie. Now, bear in mind, this movie's a bit out of date, and it didn't really, it didn't age well, I would say that. Just graphically speaking, it looks horrendous today, even kind of funny to look at. But it is still considered a cult classic because the music itself, the setup, everything about it is so memorable to people who ever got the chance to watch it. And this movie is sort of a spiritual successor to that. You know, it's taking the original premise of Mortal Kombat and giving it a new life, a new breath of fresh air. And the trailer itself was pretty cool. I gotta say, I got some goosebumps because some of these characters are from the classic, the OG video game. Now, I don't know all of them, but we did get a good look at some of the live action versions of Sonya, Kano, Raiden, personal favorite, Jax, Liu Kang, we got Shang Tsung and Kung Lao, along with Goro, and the two well-renowned mascots of Mortal Kombat, Sub-Zero and Scorpion. Now, my question for this movie, will it live up to the hype? Will it somewhat, exceed the expectations of fans? Maybe. I've seen the trailer, and it does have a emphasis on the fighting sequences, and it has to be just as good as the latest games out there, like Mortal Kombat 10 and Mortal Kombat 11. But for me, my biggest question, is it going to be gory enough? Because that's what Mortal Kombat is all about. It's those, those fatalities, those finishing moments, And there's even like a little callback to the original song, if you guys know it, Mortal Kombat. Dun, 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 dun. But they made it more orchestral, like dun, 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 And it gets me all just like full of goosebumps, and it just gets my hair sort of rising, because Mortal Kombat is just more than a game. It was a cultural thing at the time, and it is to this day, and it's keeping its legacy as we live on as gamers. So I am excited to watch this movie when it comes out on April 18th, and it's going to be coming out on theaters as well as HBO Max for your streaming pleasure. Unfortunately, we still don't have HBO Max available to worldwide streaming, but there is always alternative links. Though I do recommend go out and watch it in the theaters. I feel like that's the kind of movie worth watching on theaters. Also, Godzilla vs. Kong. Oh my God! Imagine sitting in the theaters, and if you look at the mass destruction and the music and the sound surround IMAX audio pleasure. I mean, I'm sure you'd pay good money for that. But that is it, guys, for this segment. You guys let me know, have you watched Mortal Kombat trailer? The latest one, the reboot, we're talking. And did you get a chance to watch maybe the trailer for the old movies? You guys let me know. Text me and join in the conversation. 4215-Etisalat or do. I'm going to be taking a bit of a break, but coming up next, I'm going to be continuing my rumors on the Silent Hill game. Apparently, there is a Japanese studio that is working on a Silent Hill reboot. How many times have I said this on the show? Well, I just gotta keep it going. Maybe this time this rumor is true. So let's talk about it right here on the Afternoon Cut.
Speculation, gossip, or hoax. Rumor has it.
The fight to prove the fact that Silent Hill is in development still continues. This is a continuous just coverage from my part to figure out whether or not Silent Hill is still in the works. There's been rumors that it was gonna be revealed at the last year's summer, at the PlayStation reveal event. Or then there was another rumor that talked about the game coming out sometime during the Game Awards last December. Again, this is why we call them rumors, because we can't give you that promise, that confirmation. However, there seems to be this time around a rumor that's a little bit more credible, and it comes from the developers Bloober team. This is the Polish studio behind the latest horror exclusive from Microsoft, The Medium. Now, if you've seen that game, and you kind of can see how that game plays out, it does take a little bit of inspiration from the play style of Silent Hill. And what does the rumor say about this team? Well, there was an interview with the CEO of the team who suggests that the studio's next horror project is from an existing intellectual property and says it's coming from a very famous publisher. A horror IP that comes from a famous publisher. The only one I can think out of the top of my head is possibly Tango Games, who worked on the Evil Within series. But then again, they're sort of already acquired by Microsoft, because Tango Team is a subsidiary of Bethesda, and Microsoft already bought Bethesda, so I don't see it happening. But the thing about this also is that there is another separate Silent Hill game in the works, and it's going to be a series reboot. So there's one that is being developed by them, and then there's another that's sort of a reboot that's being developed by a Japanese studio. What studio from Japan? I have no idea. That's where the rumor sort of stops. That's when the trail ends, and I can't really go any further. But guys, do text me 4215 and Salatu do. Would you like to see Silent Hill come back? Sort of like a revival, a sequel, or a reboot? How would you think would the series be best treated? In my opinion, I think it might need to get a reboot. It's been too long. It's been over maybe about 20 years. Yes, it has been. I feel it does need a well-deserved reboot, something that newcomers can come in and really enjoy the world of Silent Hill from the beginning with a fresh new take to the whole series and potential for sequels. Now, Konami has been denying all these comments, but they also have went on record saying, we have not given up on Silent Hill just yet. We're not putting it on the table and ignoring the potential of this franchise, because it has a lot of potential. Silent Hill is considered one of the more iconic cult classic horror franchises out there. But over time, as it got picked up by studios outside of Japan, and more Western developers got their hands on it, the Silent Hill sequels sort of started to damper a bit, and a lot of fans realized that Konami isn't really treating this franchise all that well. And this is not the first, because Konami, as we also know, have not treated Metal Gear Solid franchise any good as well. And it's just such a shame. It's such a shame that Castlevania is just sitting there with no video game releases. Can you imagine? A whole generation, we still don't have a new Castlevania. We have a Castlevania anime series, which I absolutely love. Great job to Netflix and the animation team behind that. But I'm looking at Konami and I'm like, guys, you have to step it up. I don't know how long you're going to continue doing this. I know that you have certain business models. You focus more on mobile gaming. You're focusing more on service-based, businesses. But you still have the rights to some of the biggest games out there. Take advantage of that. Now, I'm really hoping that this is true. I really don't know anything besides this, and I hope that Konami really is stepping up to do something really surprising. All we know, besides the fact that Bloober Team is hinting that they're working on the new game, that we might get a reveal of some kind during the summer. And what is coming out in the beginning of the summer? Well, we're going to have the E3 Digital Showcase. You guys know that E3 is the sort of the mecca of gaming. It's the place where all the big publishers in the gaming industry come together, and each day, let's say PlayStation, Xbox, and all the other big publishers, they reveal their biggest video games that are coming out for this year and the year after. Even, some surprises here and there. But that's probably going to be the time when we hear about this. Again, this is all rumors. I don't want to promise anything, but I want to be the person that if this happens and there is confirmation, I want to be the one here on the show telling you guys, I told you so. This is happening. This is why I hold on into these little breadcrumbs of a rumor, but rumor nonetheless. You guys let me know. Text me 4215 and to Salatu Do. Would love to hear from you. What do you guys think? Is there a Silent Hill reboot in the making, or is it even a sequel in the making? I want you guys to share your piece here on the show. We're going to be taking a bit of a break, and coming up next, Soulja Boy, the irrelevant rapper, trying to still remain relevant in some way by making another game console. Now, if you know the story behind this guy, I'm not sure he's promising what exactly he's promising. So let's talk about it right here on the Afternoon Karak.
Pulse 95.
Back in 2019, Soulja Boy, the one-hit wonder rapper, made his own take on the video game console market. He came out with something called a Soulja Boy game console, the Soulja Boy Game Boy, and all of these things. And for a while, we were thinking, okay, is this guy really serious? So people went out and bought these consoles, and the thing is that they're going for some really absurd prices. And are they really worth the quality for the purchase? Well, apparently a lot of people found out that he was just buying Chinese knockoffs of original game consoles such as the PlayStation and the Nintendo Game Boy, and they were all just pirated pieces of ported games. It wasn't even anything originally that he made. And no sooner afterwards, some major gaming companies sent out cease and desist letters to Soulja Boy, and his whole, Soulja Boy gaming business model kind of fell into shambles. And that's a good thing, because you can't get away with that, especially with gamers. They're very picky, very critical, and you trying to create your own product line of video games and even video game hardware at a very established market base. It's just not going to work out. But lo and behold, this rapper has once again went on Twitter saying that, guys, I am manufacturing a new console from scratch, from the ground up, he says. And I don't know about that. He continues to say that he's building this new console with an all-new design, and all the new games and new deals are going to be specified very soon. Now, he showed a glimpse of this console on his Instagram, and already I could tell this is nothing original in my opinion. It looks just like another knockoff game console that he bought off Alibaba, and he's trying to label it as his own. I don't know how he gets away with it. This is just terrible in my opinion, and people are not gonna fall for it. Honestly, the more he tries to push on this pitch of his, he's just gonna get in a lot more trouble. But I'd like to see, people say like, I can't really look at a train wreck. This is one of those situations where you want to see that train wreck happen, because at the end of the day, I don't think anybody benefits from a sort of like a con scheme like this. And we're not that dumb. Please don't buy the Soulja Boy new game console, okay? Maybe someone out there on YouTube, for jokes and giggles, is probably gonna buy it to personally review it. But even after that, I think the joke kind of wears off, and we realize that this guy is just trying to make money off of, impressionable people that are dumb enough to not realize that this is a fake knockoff of any kind. Don't buy into it. But then again, I do want to see this thing develop. I do want to see him get into more legal trouble, in my opinion. You can't get away with stuff like this. And for a irrelevant rapper trying to remain relevant, even in the gaming world, it's not going to last long. Good luck, Soulja Boy. Whatever luck you got. Anyway, guys, that is it for the hour on the Afternoon Karak. Got to wrap things up. We got Yellow Home, Anna Schofield, and Big Hass keeping you guys busy and entertained from 5 till 8 o'clock today. So don't worry all about that. If you missed out on any of our discussions, you can always tune in to our YouTube channel. Yes, we have a YouTube channel. You can support us by subscribing. You love what we do? Support us by subscribing to Pulse 95 Radio. You can also tune in to our daily podcast that gets uploaded right after the show. It's available on all podcast platforms such as SoundCloud, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and Rami. Just type up Afternoon Karak and you're good to go. And that's it, guys. I want to wish you a lovely and fantastic day, and see you guys same time, same vibe, only here on Pulse 95.
If you liked this episode of Afternoon Karak, drop a like and subscribe.
Pulse 95.
Be sure to follow us on Instagram for all our daily updates and top stories.